Hi everyone, Intuitive Edge here. So today I just want to have a conversation and talk about the awakening. Now, as it relates to tarot, the tarot is a pictorial representation of the journey of the soul. I think I've mentioned this a time or two in the past. And there are pieces and facets to spiritual growth that include lessons, obviously, difficult lessons, and there is a segment of the population that erroneously thinks that spiritual attainment and a spiritual realization means that you just everything is positive and you don't think of anything negative and you don't have anything, you do your best to, be kind, and, those things are fine. But true spiritual awakening takes us into the deepest parts of ourselves where we have to look at stuff maybe we don't want to look at. And there's no getting around that. There's no shortcut to spiritual awakening. I mean, you can have a realization. People have had experiences, mystical experiences, where all of a sudden you're different, you're changed, you have some vision or something come in, and that's true. That is an awakening. But unless you're willing to really do the inner work, that awakening that awakens you to truth isn't going to stick if you're not self-aware inside. You can have an epiphany, but if you don't do the inner work, the epiphany is not going to last. The masters of ages past, Jesus, Buddha, some of these that attained these higher awareness, they were able to harness the powers of natural law, of the universe around them. Things that we would call miracles aren't really miracles. They're just a higher level of being knows how to work with the universe for certain outcomes. And most of humanity is not at that level. And so the rest of humanity goes, oh my gosh, it's a miracle. For instance, the story in the Bible with Jesus feeding 5,000 people. They brought him a couple of fish and a loaf of bread or something like that, right? And all of a sudden they're starting to feed everybody and the food just keeps multiplying. And everybody's like, that's a miracle. Well, for Jesus, he learned how to attain those higher aspects of universal forces and used it to bring good about, because he was of a higher conscious level. He was a higher caliber being. There's a lot that we don't know about the life of Jesus, and I'm just picking him because he's an obvious example that most people are familiar with. But there's a big stretch of his life that we don't know about, from about age 12 to age 30 or so. And we don't know what he went through. It's not recorded in the scriptures in the Bible. Now, there's the India and places like that, they have their own stories and stuff. I don't want to get into that. But I mean, he may have visited there. The Indians, the yogis claim that he did. But during that time, perhaps he went through some of that stuff that we go through, that gets us into our core, the core of who we are, the core of our being. I don't know if he did or not. And he may have just been this high-level being from the very beginning. But for you and I, for the rest of us, to be on a spiritual path and to be an earnest seeker is commendable. So anybody who considers themselves a seeker, that's great. Very good. But I think there are some people who think there's a shortcut and that you don't have to look at the negative. You don't have to do the dirty work. You don't have to, and that's not true. There is no shortcut to spiritual awareness and awakening. There's no shortcut. And a lot of people don't want to look at things that make them uncomfortable. They don't want to do the inner work. They don't want to go there. They want to just bypass that. Oh, I'll just pray more. I'll just meditate. I'll just, you can do that if you want to bypass the work, but your spiritual attainment that you're seeking is going to elude you because you have to go through that valley, that challenge. There's peaks and valleys. And we have to look at ourselves on a deeper level. Now, I was introduced to the concept of natural law not too long ago. Well, several years ago, I guess. But, and I've done a lot of reading on it and study and listening to people who know more than I do. And I've come to realize that spiritual work is hard work. It's hard work. It doesn't mean it's a drudge. And in fact, the more enlightened you become, the more joy and things like that do come into your life and support you. And the more you focus on gratitude, the more and you learn about how these things work. That's why gratitude is so important. That's why having a positive attitude is important. I'm not saying it's not. But I'm saying you can't just jump over that and bypass doing the inner work because you're shortcutting yourself. And your spiritual awakening is dependent on you being authentically whole, healed, whole, a real person that experiences difficulties and learned how to rise above. Now, we don't have to go live on the streets like a beggar and a homeless person to have an epiphany and an awareness. You don't have to swing so far to one end in order to experience the other. Now, there is a natural law called rhythm, and I'd love to explain that one. I don't know if I should do it here in another video, but just bits and pieces here. The natural law of rhythm, well, first of all, there's polarity. We live in a polarized world, right? There's hot, there's cold, up, there's down, and then there's various parts in between. They're not opposites. Hot is not opposite of cold. They are on the continuum of temperature. Temperature goes down, temperature goes up. It's all temperature. It's just variations of it. So they're not opposites. But we do live in this, and that's part of the wisdom of the law of polarity, is recognizing that things are not opposing forces. They're simply the same thing at different aspects of itself. Anyway, but in terms of rhythm is that swinging between the poles. Think of a grandfather clock, that natural swing to one side. And you can demonstrate this with physics, of course. You get those balls. I wish I had a set here, but those metal balls on a string, you hit one and it hits the other on the other side, right? Equal force. And the masters, the yogis, began to recognize, okay, there's laws in the universe like that. You know, every force has an equal and opposite reaction for every action. Well, maybe that's the same in our lives. Maybe that's the same in the forces that govern people. And there's a whole study on that. And I believe that to be true. It's not just our physical universe, because we're part of our physical universe. We're here. We're experiencing this place. And we're not separate from this creation. We're part of it in more ways than people want to recognize. We're here creating it as we speak. That chair you're sitting on, or if you're standing, that floor you're standing on, or wherever you're at, if you're standing next to something created, that started with a thought in somebody's mind. Everything we think has power to create. Everything. That's why it's important to guard our thoughts and our hearts and our minds. The Bible talks about that a lot. Guard your hearts and your minds. Well, why? Well, because your thoughts are powerful. And what you think about and what you dwell on and what you stew on is what you manifest in the world and what you create. It's a natural law, okay? But back to rhythm. So rhythm is swinging between the poles. Now, we think of that in terms of spiritual awakening. I want to boil this down into spiritual awakening with this law of rhythm, okay? Swinging from one side to the other. Now, the yogis and the masters, when they know that when you swing to one side and you reach this spiritual attainment, that they've learned how to anchor themselves in and stay there. Because the natural rhythm is to swing back the other direction. You've heard of people, spiritual leaders, who have this spiritual awakening and attainment, and 10 years later something happens and they've lost their ministry, they've lost everything, and they're down in the dumps, right? There's a rhythm, a natural rhythm to things. Sorry, my cat's in the background. If you hear him, yeah, anyway. There's a natural rhythm to things. And if you want to have spiritual attainment, one of the ways to anchor yourself so that you don't swing back and become a drug addict on the streets, to use a crude example, is to do the inner work. It's so important. We can't bypass it. Yeah, it's dark and ugly sometimes. We don't want to face things in ourselves. But there's no point in pursuing a spiritual path if you don't do the inner work, because you're not going to stay there. You might have an epiphany, an awakening. You might see something, and you might even be powerful. You might even help people. But you got to do what's in here. So, yes, buddy, why don't you come here and say hi to everybody? Come here, buddy. Okay, since he's interrupting, I might as well grab him just a moment. Okay, this is my cat. If I'm not paying attention to him, he gets a little butthurt. There's a current spiritual teacher, I don't know if I want to name her name, but some of you maybe know of her, was very much into the New Age teachings. She had online courses, she had books written, much done in the spiritual realms, bringing truth about angels and things, and helping people. And she all of a sudden swung the opposite way And now she's completely disavowed everything she's ever done in that New Age regard. And she's become a born-again Christian and completely disavowed all of it. And people are like, what happened? What happened? You know, and she left a lot of people in the lurch. Unfortunately, a lot of people felt hurt and betrayed over it. Because, you know, her classes and her books and everything that she taught, and then all of a sudden people are like, what, you're saying this is all of the devil now? What, you know? So people are like, what's going on? Well, the way I see this is it's this pendulum swing. She's having a pendulum swing to one side to the other. We have to anchor in. And you know what? Maybe that pendulum swing's going to help her do the inner work she needs to do. You know, I'm not here to judge that. I don't know her. I don't know her life story. But maybe she had to go back to do some inner work in herself. And as the pendulum swings again, which it will eventually with her, as it does with everybody, and as she does the inner work, she'll swing back. The idea is to be balanced in the middle, okay? It's not to be way over here or way over here. It's to find that balance. That's the point of this rhythm. But not to be lukewarm or to be, you know, like, I'm half this and half that. No. We can attain spiritual wisdom, mastery, all of that. But we got to anchor it in when we get to where we want to be. Got to anchor it in. And we do that through gratitude. That's the most important thing, is gratitude. Gratitude for everything that you've been through. Gratitude for where you've been. Gratitude for who you are and all of the life lessons that you've learned along the way, even the painful ones. We can look back and be grateful. Yeah, that was a horrible time in my life, but I'm so glad it happened. Yeah, he's quite the pill. So glad it happened though, right? Because we learn through it all. But gratitude will help you anchor in. And being thankful for where you are and thankful for where life has brought you. And ask to be given more, ask to be shown more if you want to do the spiritual work. Anyway, I could say more on this, but I think I should go, maybe go feed my cat. All right, I appreciate you stopping by my channel. This is Intuitive Edge, a little bit of a natural law, but we'll be talking more about this later. And join me on my blog. I've written several articles on this type of topic, and I will be doing more. IntuitiveEdgeTarot.blog. For some reason, Google doesn't like me, but if you use Bing or some other search engine, you'll find my page. IntuitiveEdgeTarot.blog. Also join me on Facebook. Intuitive Edge Tarot at Facebook. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.